Hi and welcome back to Geek, where we try to cover all things Marvel and DC and video games to all of the movies and shows and everything else that pops up in between. We try to have a little bit for everybody. I'm Stella, and today we're covering Wilson Fisk's Punisher Task Force and how it's actually supposed to be the Thunderbolts working under him the whole time.
Bucky, you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
If you didn't know, and spoilers for Daredevil Born Again, Wilson Fisk made an anti-vigilante task force called the Punisher Task Force that is exempt from all rules and wears the Punisher logo.
I want to be clear. I brought you here because of your skills, because of your ability to get results. Consider yourself founding members of my anti-vigilante task force.
One of the things that we covered in a previous video about Punisher, he absolutely despises. But this task force can be as brutal as they feel is justified to bring Wilson Fisk's idea of justice to the vigilante scene in New York. So these members are just your normal day-to-day human, corrupt cops. Like being the ones who killed Hector Ayala, aka the White Tiger, and made sure to capture the rogue vigilantes like the Swordsman and the Punisher and put them in cages, not a jail, cages. Though it doesn't seem like the Punisher and the Swordsman are going to be in those cages for very long, and I am excited to see a jailbreak with those two because it would reflect the jailbreak that Matt Murdock and Punisher have in the comic where Foggy fakes his own death. So we might be seeing some headlines pop up about how the Punisher kidnapped Kate Bishop's stepdad. Maybe. But in the comics, it wasn't Valentina who was in charge of the Thunderbolts, it was Wilson Fisk. Once he was elected mayor of New York, he gained popularity helping out people when Hydra trapped them in a Dark Force dome. He then went on to create a platform of anti-vigilantism. And in this, he had Baron Zemo introduce a new Thunderbolts team during a press conference to the citizens of New York, promising that the Punisher's reign of terror would end. Zemo's team included Moonstone, the Fixer, Radioactive Man, the Ghost, and the Punisher's enemy, Jigsaw, disguised as the Paladin. Black Widow helped the Punisher counter the Thunderbolt brutal advances by gathering a team of vigilantes who killed dozens of Hydra agents infiltrating in the United Nations. In retaliation, Zemo had the Thunderbolts strike back, but after being defeated, the Thunderbolts surrendered and were spared by the Punisher only because Night Thrasher defended them. Baron Zemo was then maimed by the Punisher and then terminated by a rogue Ghost under Fisk's orders. When Null was invading Earth, the Avengers warned Mayor Fisk to evacuate the city, but he refused to comply and paid the price. He visited the Bar with No Name to recruit supervillains taking refuge there and illegally acting in Fisk's domain. They were promised a choice between prison and signing up. To make a point, Fisk had Incendiary executed when he chose prison instead of helping him. This new team, led by Taskmaster, initially consisted of Mr. Fear, Batroc the Leaper, Star, Rhino, Snakehead, and Amber. Not long after, Mayor Fisk implemented a harsh policy against costume vigilantes and made his Thunderbolts the only sanctioned heroes of the city, also creating the Thunderbolts unit to assist them in handling superhero threats. Initially, Taskmaster remained the leader of the team, but US Agent also joined, secretly wishing to sabotage Fisk and collect evidence for the FBI. He was promoted to be the new field leader of the team to force a sense of order amongst them. Fisk had the powerhouse Abomination join the team and used Kilgrave's power to keep US agents submitted to his will. In order to tackle his opponents in New York City, Fisk had several agents operating within the Thunderbolts units. Dr. Octopus arrested Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, Kraven the Hunter went after Elektra, and Spider-Man was taken into custody by the Thunderbolts as well. But using Kilgrave's power to try to keep people wanting to vote for Wilson Fisk wasn't enough, and Wilson Fisk had the Thunderbolts go after the Purple Children, or Kilgrave's children that also have the same power as he does. The Rhino, not agreeing with this, decided to betray Wilson Fisk and contacted the Champions to expose Fisk's plan. And the Champions and the Avengers were able to stop the Thunderbolts before Fisk could get a hold of the children. Fisk then released Kilgrave, leading an army of brainwashed agents against the superheroes. Mayor Fisk and the Purple Man, or Kilgrave, were ultimately defeated, and Fisk was removed from power and Luke Cage became president of New York City. To be more compliant with the MCU, however, in the last few months we've had a comic event called One World Under Doom, where the Thunderbolts lineup looks more like the Thunderbolts movie.
We can be the ones that are coming. Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away.
Bucky Barnes has gained intel and resources to act against terrorism as a member of the Outer Circle, and he decides to reformulate the Thunderbolts alongside Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine. Kind of. Their first recruits were Sharon Carter, the Destroyer, and the Red Guardian, to go on a mission to raid the Red Skull's base in Argentina. The team's next target was Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime and the White King of the Hellfire Club who guarded the fortune of the late Red Skull. This team now added Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, and Yelena Belova, the White Widow, to their lineup. And while the Black Widows performed the heist, Bucky could not help himself from confronting Fisk, learning that Red Skull had survived. And the Thunderbolts ended up putting that fortune into a pocket dimension. I feel like that's always like the scapegoat for when people don't know what to do with stuff. They just put it in a pocket dimension. Their sights, because this is called One World Under Doom, obviously are then set on Latveria, because they want to find Red Skull, because he is still alive. And this mission was supposed to be executed by US Agent and the American Kaiju. But Bucky ends up sending in Shang-Chi to help out, and US Agent is kind of reluctant in trusting him, but he ends up helping out a lot. And this comic is still currently ongoing by the time I am writing the script, so we'll have to see what happens to the Thunderbolts team, especially with the movie coming out next month. It's kind of all up in the air right now because the comic run is still going. But I hope this was an interesting video because I personally thought it was interesting that they went with the Punisher task force in Daredevil Born Again and are keeping the Thunderbolts separate, so they can go off to go fight Doom and Doomsday while the Punisher task force will stay in the street level shows that take place in New York, like Hawkeye and maybe Miss Marvel, but that's in Jersey. Young Avengers and all these things might end up sitting with that task force while the Thunderbolts go off and do other things.
A serial killer is roaming our streets. He needs to be stopped.
Okay, but why us?
Of course, under the Marvel Disney contract, because I don't know that we'll be getting any cool Sony Spider-Man things besides the movie, but maybe we'll see the Punisher task force in that. That would be interesting.
But we can find a way together.
Anyway, I hope you liked this, and leave a comment letting us know what you're excited for the future of the MCU New York scene, because there's a lot going on specifically only in New York, and it's going to be really cool. New York is kind of having what we used to in like 2012 Avengers fandom called Nick Fury's really bad week, because they had the lights go out in New York City, and now next week they're fighting Sentry, so it's going to be a bad week for New York City in the MCU. But as always, remember to like and comment and subscribe and hit that bell notification if you want to see more like this and see when we post more like this. And I will see you guys next time. Stay geeky. Bye!